The Last Curtain Call. On the evening of June 24, 2009, the world's most famous entertainer walked onto a stage for what would unknowingly become his final rehearsal. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was preparing for his highly anticipated This Is It concert series, a 50-show residency in London's O2 Arena that was meant to mark not only his comeback but also his farewell to touring. Stay in the spotlight. Hit like and subscribe for more untold celebrity stories. Those closest to him recall that something about that night felt different. The energy in the Staples Center in Los Angeles was charged, a mixture of electricity, excitement, and an unexplainable strangeness that would linger forever in the memories of those who were there. Just hours later, Michael Jackson would be gone. This is the untold story of his final rehearsal, the triumph, the tension, the haunting signs that went unnoticed, and the eerie sense of destiny in the air. By 2009, Michael Jackson had not performed a full tour in more than a decade. After years of legal battles, media scrutiny, and health struggles, he wanted redemption, not just for himself, but for his children, his legacy, and his fans who never stopped believing in him. The This Is It concerts were announced with great fanfare in March 2009. The press conference in London showed a smiling but visibly frail Michael telling the crowd, "This is it. This is the final curtain call." Tickets sold out in hours. Fans from around the globe planned pilgrimages to London. Behind the scenes, however, there was immense pressure. Michael's health was not what it once had been, and the physical demands of 50 shows seemed overwhelming. Still, he pushed forward, rehearsing at the Staples Center with some of the most talented dancers and musicians in the world. That morning, Michael spent time at his rented Holmby Hills mansion with his children. He was affectionate, playful, but also preoccupied. Those who saw him said he seemed unusually contemplative, as if weighed down by invisible burdens. Later in the day, his bodyguard drove him to the Staples Center. Crew members recalled that Michael arrived wearing his signature black shades and a fedora, stepping out with a grace that belied the exhaustion he carried. He greeted everyone warmly, with hugs and soft-spoken "I love yous," a habit that made even the newest crew member feel seen. But there was also something else. Some said he seemed unusually energized, almost euphoric. Others noticed moments when he drifted, staring off as though lost in thought. One of the most powerful moments of that final rehearsal was Michael's performance of Earth Song. As he stood before the giant backdrop, a visual of a devastated planet, burning forests, and endangered animals, Michael poured himself into the music. His voice, though slightly weathered, carried a raw emotional force. He raised his arms to the heavens, his body trembling with conviction as he sang about healing the earth. Those present were stunned. It was like he was channeling something beyond himself, one dancer later recalled. He wasn't just rehearsing. He was testifying. When the final note ended, silence hung in the air. The crew applauded, but some admitted later that the moment felt almost spiritual, as though Michael knew this was his last chance to deliver the message he had carried all his life. Next came Thriller, complete with elaborate props, costumes, and choreography. Michael seemed excited about this sequence, offering suggestions on lighting and camera angles. He was meticulous, directing every detail with the precision of a filmmaker. But between takes, he appeared drained. He would sit quietly, his shoulders slumped, sipping water as his team surrounded him. Kenny Ortega, the director of the show, later said Michael seemed both incredibly alive and hauntingly fragile. The duality was striking. On stage, he was the king of pop, commanding, energetic, larger than life. Off stage, he seemed like a man carrying the weight of the world. Some crew members later admitted they were worried about Michael's health. He was thinner than usual, and at times, he seemed to struggle with focus. Kenny Ortega reportedly told AEG executives that Michael needed rest, not more rehearsals. But Michael insisted on pushing forward. "I'll be fine," he told Ortega. "I just need a little time." Still, others noted the opposite, that on June 24th, Michael seemed to have turned a corner, more vibrant than in previous rehearsals. Perhaps it was adrenaline, or perhaps it was something more mysterious, a final burst of energy before the end. Near the end of the night, Michael performed They Don't Care About Us. His movements were sharp, his energy infectious. Dancers cheered him on, and he laughed, flashing that boyish smile that had charmed the world for decades. When the rehearsal wrapped around midnight, Michael reportedly told his crew, "I feel great. I really do." It was the last time many of them would see him alive. After leaving the Staples Center, Michael returned to his Holmby Hills mansion. On the ride home, he was quiet, almost reflective. His bodyguard said Michael gazed out the window at the night sky, deep in thought. No one could have guessed that within hours, tragedy would strike. In the early hours of June 25th, Michael struggled to sleep. For weeks, he had been relying on powerful medications to battle chronic insomnia. His personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, administered propofol, a dangerous anesthetic never meant for home use. By late morning, Michael Jackson, the man who had once moonwalked across the world's imagination, was gone. The news shattered the globe. Fans wept openly in the streets. Media outlets broadcast the shocking headline, "Michael Jackson dead at 50." But for those who had been at the Staples Center just hours earlier, the memory of that final rehearsal took on an almost prophetic weight. In the days and weeks that followed, dancers, crew members, and friends reflected on June 24th. Many described an unexplainable energy in the air. Some said Michael seemed to be saying goodbye without realizing it. Others believed he had poured every ounce of himself into that last performance because, on some subconscious level, he knew the end was near. Kenny Ortega, in particular, said he would never forget the look in Michael's eyes that night, a mixture of joy, exhaustion, and something beyond words. Michael's last rehearsal was later released in part in the 2009 documentary This Is It. Millions of fans saw him dance, sing, and smile just hours before his death. The footage became both a celebration and a haunting reminder of what could have been. For his fans, that night represented everything Michael stood for: dedication, artistry, and an unbreakable bond with his audience. Even at his weakest, he gave his all. And though he never made it to London for the concerts, his message lived on, in the music, in the film, and in the memory of those who stood in awe at the Staples Center as the King of Pop delivered his final curtain call. Michael Jackson's final rehearsal was not just another night at work. It was a moment of beauty, mystery, and destiny. He danced, he sang, he smiled. He told those around him that he felt great. And then, as if the universe had decided the curtain must fall, he was gone. The strange energy that night was more than nerves or adrenaline. It was the glow of a man giving his last gift to the world. And perhaps that is how Michael Jackson should be remembered, not in the tragedy of his death, but in the brilliance of that final performance, when, for one last time, he became everything his fans believed him to be, the greatest entertainer the world has ever known. Thanks for watching.